What's up, everybody? It is time for the latest episode of Decoding Dune as we read through the Dune Trilogy by Frank Herbert, alongside the movies that have been coming out here this last couple of years and that are going to continue to be produced around these first three novels by Frank Herbert. We are into episode 5 today, which covers chapter 5 of the same named book, the first in the book series. Chapter 5, of course, being episode 5 of Decoding Dune. If this is your first time tuning in, we do these every Thursday. So far, they might change. You never know in the future. But for now, we're doing them on Thursdays as of this recording, usually around 9 or 10 in the morning Central Time. And this coincides with what we're doing on Mondays with the Mondays in Middle Earth show, reading through all the Lord of the Rings and the Silmarillion stuff. So if you like this show, you might like the other show. There's a crossover, of course, because these are both related to big book series, one fantasy, one science fiction. We do a read through as I read the chapter, not quite live, but I do have anecdotes around some of the things I'm reading. So if you like all that kind of stuff, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon. And yeah, follow along for more. So without further ado, I got my Kindle ready, diving into chapter 5 for episode 5 of Decoding Dune. So I'm guessing right off the bat this is a chapter about Dr. Yueh because the um, Dictionary of Muad'Dib section by Princess Irulan, which starts off the chapter, has a breakdown of who Yueh Wellington was, or Wellington Yueh. Is it? It's Wellington Yueh, a medical doctor of the Suk school, Juana Marcus, chiefly known as betrayer of Duke Leto Atreides. And then there's a whole section on bibliography, Appendix 7 of the Imperial Conditioning and Betrayal. Um, all we know in advance what's coming down. It's just the way they're relaying the information is very interesting. It's a different way to do a book. It's kind of similar in some ways to the way that some elements of, if I remember, it's been a while since I've read Hyperion by Dan Simmons. I feel like some of those, because there was the time travel stuff. I don't want to get sidetracked. Oh man, Paul's getting a massage after his training session. It's good to be the king, right? Good to be the Duke's son. You get private massage after every workout. Man, I want a private massage after every workout. Says he felt deliciously relaxed as he heard Dr. Yueh enter the room. The diamond tattoo of imperial conditioning on his forehead. The long black hair caught in the Suk School's silver ring at the left shoulder. Interesting. Oh, so Dr. Yueh is basically telling him, we're not going to be doing our classes today because your dad's coming to talk to you. Have arranged for you to continue to receive schooling on the way to Arrakis. But it says here that Paul basically kind of forgets everything here in the excitement that his father's going to be coming because they have spent very little time together ever since the Emperor's command came down that they were going to be taking over the fief of Arrakis. So his father's just been his father's been swarmed with duty, so he hasn't got to see much of his father. It's also a very interesting note here that he has a good relationship with his dad and he looks forward to seeing him because that's not something you see with every protagonist in a book. A lot of them have troubled relationships with their parents. I know what that's like. So to see something here where they have a very good father-son relationship it's very heartwarming. It also makes what's coming down the pipeline even more tragic because of the connection they had. But yeah. And the worst part is we're seeing inside of Yue's mind here because he knows what he's done and what he's going to do. And as he's looking at Paul, he literally thinks to himself, look at how the boy has filled out these past months. What a waste. Such a sad waste. And he says, I must not falter. What I have done is to be certain my Wana can no longer be hurt by the Harkonnen beasts. So his whole thing is, we've seen the films, we've watched adaptations, I've read these before. They've got his wife. And so he is being, he has no choice but to do this. Otherwise, they're going to continue to torture his wife. So he's doing what is necessary for his family. And I don't think anybody would do anything different if they were in his shoes. I don't care who you are. You do what you need to do for the ones you love and who are most important to you to life. And then, it is what it is. Paul wants to know if there's going to be something about the Fremen in the materials that Dr. Yueh has provided with him to read on the way to Arrakis. What's up, everybody? Commercial break here. I got to give a shout out to our guild champions. It's the highest tier membership here on YouTube. We got Ancient Entity, Crazy as Relative, and Remy D. Thanks so much for your support. And of course, to all of the members here on YouTube, thanks for keeping me on the air full time. If you do like what you see and hear on my channel, don't forget to not only like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon, but please support. Consider me your Netflix, your Hulu, your Disney Plus, or HBO, whatever you want to call it. You can do memberships here on the channel starting at $3 a month. And of course, anytime you see me live or you watch a premiere, you can do super chats and stickers on those videos, and super thanks on any upload you see, which allows me to keep doing this full time and paying the bills. So from Chris and I and all of our rescue cats, we say thank you. Let's get back to the video at hand. He's already given him a little bit of an overview. Um, let's see here. Fremen are part of one group. The others are the people of the Graben, the Sink, the Pan. There's some intermarriage between the women in Pan and Sink villages preferring Fremen husbands, while their men prefer Fremen wives. They have a saying there which says Polish comes from the cities, wisdom from the... Or Polish, I read Polish. Polish comes from the cities, wisdom from the desert. Paul wants to know if he has pictures of them. And he replies that I'll try to get you some, with their most interesting feature being their eyes, which are totally blue with no whites in them because of the saturation of melange. Ooh, Dr. Yueh says, by all accounts, they compose poems to their knives, and their women are as fierce as their men. Paul thinks to himself, what a people to win as allies, and he's not wrong. But what about the worms? Paul needs to know. What about the worms? What? What do you mean, what about the worms? I'd like to study more about the sandworms. Ah, okay. Yeah, sure. So Yui's very distracted here as he's answering because he's thinking to himself, I'm such a hypocrite for like giving this kid all this stuff to study when I already know that he's gonna end up dead because of what's coming down the pipeline. But we're still getting some explanation of the planet through Paul going, and what about this? And what about this? And what about this? And what about this? And that's very important for the build up to Arrakis so that we know about the dangers of Arrakis. We know all about the Fremen. We know about the culture. We know about the sandworms. We know everything we need to know. And then, of course, we learn a lot when we're on the planet, especially about the indoctrination that started many, many, many years before with the Bene Gesserits. A lot of other fun stuff. Dr. Yueh gives Paul a very old orange Catholic Bible made for space travelers, an actual book on printed filament paper with a magnifier and electrostatic charge system. That's really cool. He has Paul read a section from the book here. Think you of the fact that a deaf person cannot hear. Then, what deafness may not we all possess? What senses do we lack that we cannot see and cannot hear another world around us? What is there around us that we cannot? Oh. And he yells at them to stop it. And it says here, he closes his eyes and says, what perversity caused the book to open at Wana's favorite passage? And he tells Paul that. He says, not the one I intended for you to read. Paul's like, well, there are two notches. Oh, yes, my bad. So there's a section here about the importance of water. But in this case, he's not going to get a chance to read it. And it says Paul for a moment feared that Dr. Yueh was going to demand the book's return when he yelled at him for reading the wrong phrase. But he does thank him formally for the gift. It will be our secret. If you need a favor from me, please do not hesitate to ask. And the way Yueh responds is like, I need for nothing. And he thinks to himself, why am I torturing myself and this poor kid? Damn those Harkonnen beasts. Why did they choose me for their abomination? This is going to be a short one, everybody. That was a very short chapter, but we're getting some very important insights into who Dr. Yueh is and why he's betraying the family. We also get some very important insights into Paul and his initial interest and later obsession I guess it's not an obsession, but understanding that the Fremen are very important. And he thinks to himself during this chapter what great allies they would make, and he's not wrong because of what's coming down the pipeline later on. So that's very important to think about. But I also love the fact that we get this sense of happiness that Paul has for being able to see his father for the first time in a very long time, given that they've been so busy with the preparations for the move to Arrakis and taking over control of the fiefdom. Really cool stuff. Can't wait to read next week's chapter, but for that, you'll have to tune in. So make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. We'll see everybody next week for more of the same.